Hello, and thank you for joining us today. The following presentation has been created by Civitas Strategies Early Start as a means of showing child care providers the steps to take when filling out the 941X form as it pertains to filing for the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Disclaimer: the information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies Early Start and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies Early Start team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information is not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute, an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited. Before beginning to fill out the 941X form, make sure you have determined eligibility. Check to make sure you qualify either by comparing your revenue for 2020 and 2021 with comparable quarters in 2019, looking for a loss of more than 50% in 2020 and at least 20% in 2021, or by having completely or partially suspended business operations due to orders from a government authority during the applicable quarters in 2020 and 2021. Before filling out the form, you will have determined your payroll from March 15th, 2020 through September 30th, 2021 for each applicable quarter. You will have removed payroll for any ownership or employees related to ownership. You will have removed any payroll covered by PPP loans, and you have made sure that your employee wages are capped at $10,000 for the year per employee in 2020 and are capped at $10,000 per employee per quarter for 2021. This means that the maximum credit you will be able to take per employee is $5,000 for 2020 and $7,000 per employee per quarter in 2021. You will determine the amount of your quarterly credit by multiplying each qualifying quarter in 2020 by 0.50 and multiplying each quarter in 2021 by 0.70. Once you have determined the amount of your credit, you are ready to fill out the 941X form. Here is the first page of the 941X form. You can locate the form by visiting www.irs.gov and searching for Form 941X. The 941X form has been created by the IRS to serve many purposes. There is only a small amount of data that you will enter when filing for the ERTC, and the majority of the form will not be used. On page 1, you will fill out all identifying information. You will note that the form you are correcting is the 941. Choose the quarter you are correcting. You will fill out one 941X per quarter, the calendar year for the quarter you are correcting, 2020 or 2021, and the date you are completing the form. In Part 1, you'll be choosing option number 2, which is Claim. Continuing page 1, in Part 2, you will choose Selection 3, which certifies you have filed or will file your tax forms as listed. You will skip number 4 and choose 5D. You will not enter any information on lines 6 through 23, meaning you will skip page 2, but you must enter all identifying information on the top of each page to follow. Once you have skipped to page 3, you will start by entering the amount of credit you have calculated. Move to line 26A and enter the amount of the credit in the first column. You will skip column 2 and once again enter the amount of credit in column 3. For column 4, you will enter the same amount as in column 3, only showing the number as a negative. Move to line 27. Here you will enter the same amount that you have entered in column 4, line 26A, and make sure you have continued to make that number negative. Once you have entered the credit, you will then proceed to line 30 and enter the amount of qualifying wages for that quarter in column 1. That is the amount that you use to determine your credit and will reflect either 50% of your qualifying wages for 2020 or 70% of your qualifying wages in 2021. You will leave column 2 blank and will repeat the qualifying wages in column 3. This is not entered as a negative value. Once you've completed page 3, you will move to page 5, part 4, line number 43. It is an explanation of the reason you're applying for the credit. We recommend the following. Economic impact of COVID-19 triggered employee retention tax credit. Part 5 is the final portion of the 941X, and you will sign and date the form. The 941X will not be processed without your signature. Make a copy of your form for your records and send to the Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Ogden, Utah, 84201-0005. As a reminder, make sure that you keep a record of all documents used for your calculations. Once you have completed, you can file the 941X by mail. If you wish, you can submit the form to a tax preparer or payroll company, keeping in mind that you may be charged fees by these professionals. IRS processing of the 941X can take up to 9 months due to the amount of claims filed. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to cses@civstrat.com.